In Notes 13, we're going to get to talk about algebraic expressions. Let's define one first. An algebraic expression is a combination of symbols in algebra that contain one or more numbers, variables, and arithmetic operations. These are examples of algebraic expressions. Now, you can't really solve these in the form that they're in, but you can simplify them a little bit sometimes. These are already completely simplified. What we're going to get to do is actually plug into them, and then we get to use order of operations. So let's just jump right into it. Now, I recommend that you always start by building the algebraic expression and then plugging into it before you start just jumping on into it. If you have 4x plus 3, rewrite that. And everywhere that you have an x, y, z, whatever it is, I want you to put a parentheses in. This will keep you from making sign errors because all it takes is one and you can mess up a math problem. Now, once you rewrite the algebraic expression, everywhere that they used to have an x, they want us to plug in 7. And then you can do order of operations. We're going to start by multiplying. The 4 times 7 is 28. Bring down the rest of it. And then 28 plus 3 is 31. Stop the video anytime that I get going a little bit faster. At this point, I'm going to assume that your multiplication and your addition are kind of quick. If you want to stop me or pause me so that you can do it on your own first, that would be awesome. And we will be applying order of operations on everything. Now, here's the next expression. And so I'm going to rewrite it first. It's got an absolute value. Everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in a parentheses. That way, when I plug in, I don't lose any signs. In this expression, they want us to replace x with a -2. And then we're ready. The absolute value is a grouping symbol or like a parentheses, right? So we're going to evaluate inside that first. We have the absolute value of -2 minus 8. That's going to be -10 plus 5. But absolute value actually denotes like a distance. If we drove the train backwards for 10 miles, we still covered 10 miles. So we write down the positive version of it, plus 5. Then finally, 10 plus 5 is 15. Let's look at the next one. I'm going to rewrite it, but everywhere that there is an n on this one, I'm going to put in a parentheses. And then everywhere they had an n, they want us to plug in a -2. Now, anytime that I'm multiplying something by a fraction, I like the other number to be a fraction too. So I'm going to go ahead and make that into a -2 over 1. Now, we can either cross cancel, but let's say I didn't notice on this one. When I'm multiplying a 3/2 times a -2, I know I'm going to get a negative number. But what number? Well, I'm going to multiply the tops together. I'm going to multiply the bottoms together. That's going to be 3 times 2, which is 6, over 2 times 1, which is 2. Now, -6 divided by 2 is -3. And then again, you can rewrite this or do anything you want to, but combining -3 and -5, I will eventually get -8, any way that I do it. Let's try the next one. -1/3 times x. Now, by now, you're getting good at it. Everywhere you have an x, build a parentheses. Then plug in. For x this time, they want us to use a -5. Again, because I'm multiplying by a fraction, I'm going to make this guy into a fraction. Now, when I multiply a negative times a negative, I'm going to get a positive answer. Okay? Then multiply the 1 times 5 and the 3 times 1. So now it looks like I'm going to have to get a common denominator. Start with the largest number and write some of his multiples down. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. I think I have enough. Does 2 divide into 3? No. Does 2 divide into 6? Yes. So 6 is our least common denominator. To get a 6 on in this denominator, I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. 2 times 5 is 10. To get this denominator to look like 6, I'm going to multiply them by 3 on top and bottom. Let's see. That's going to be 3 over 6. And then finally, 10 plus 3 is 13 over 6. Now you can leave the answer this way, or if they ask you for a mixed number, you would go through and do the long division. Let's keep going. In this expression, everywhere there's a y, I'm going to build a parentheses. That keeps me from losing signs and making errors. Now, everywhere that they had a y, they want us to use 4. Then clean it up. Because it's a fraction, you'll apply the order of operations to the numerator and the order of operations to the denominator. 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. 6 over 2 is 3. We're getting better, aren't we? All right, next one. Everywhere you have an x, in this fraction, you're going to put in parentheses. I get 2x plus 1 over x plus 3. But everywhere that they had an x, they want us to plug in a negative 3. See, you don't lose signs this way because the parentheses are holding them in. Now let's do order of operations on the top. When I do it on the top, I'm going to have to do the multiplication first. So I get 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus 1. Here, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. I don't even really need to finish it, but I'm going to. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5 divided by 0. When the 0 is underneath, guys, it's undefined. Let's keep going. Another one. We're going to start by building our expression. Everywhere you have x's, put in parentheses. And now they want us to replace all of the x's with negative 1. See how it turns into those order of operations problems we've been doing? Now, this negative is included in the parentheses, so this is actually negative 1 times negative 1, isn't it? 2 negatives multiply to be a positive, and 1 times 1 is 1. That was the exponent part. Now I've got a multiplication. I'll take care of him next. Plus 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, and then I've got minus 6. And again, just to review something we did before and that you can be pausing the video for so you can do on your own, is when you have subtraction, don't forget you can always rewrite it as plus a negative 6 to make it an addition problem. Now, I'm going to add from left to right, or you can add the negatives together first, however you want to handle that. I'm just going to go left to right. 1 plus a negative 5 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus a negative 6 is negative 10. Now let's look at number 8. I have this new expression. I'm going to rebuild it, but everywhere that there are x's, I'm going to put in parentheses. Okay, hopefully you noticed here that I didn't put parentheses with the negative included. It's not like the last example. The last example just says the x is being squared. Same thing. Only in this one, only the x is being squared. The negative is after the fact. So now we'll plug in. Put a negative 1 in for each of the x's, and we can clean it up. Now, I already know what negative 1 squared is. We did it on the last example. So this part is 1, and this negative is after the fact. Now we'll take care of the multiplication. So we've got negative 1. Negative 9 times negative 1 is positive 9. And then we can do our addition and subtraction as it exists from left to right. Negative 1 plus 9 is 8. And then 8 minus 6 is 2. Let's keep going. Number 9. We have p cubed, that I'm going to replace it with the parentheses, minus 9. And p this time is 2. Okay, well, 2 to the third power will be done first, of course. That is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And 8 minus 9 is negative 1. And again, pause the video if you need to rewrite that as an addition problem or however you need to handle that. The next one, I'm going to rewrite it. Everywhere there's an x, put in parentheses. And this time they're asking us to plug in a negative 2 everywhere that we have an x. Definitely going to start with the exponents again. I've got a couple of them. Negative 2 to the third power. Okay, 3 negatives are going to be what? That's right, it's going to be negative. And 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, on the next one, negative 2 squared. Well, 2 negatives are going to make a positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. The rest of it down. Now, I've got some addition and subtraction, but I also have one multiplication. That gets taken care of next. Negative 8 plus 4 is going to be brought down. Negative 7 times negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive when you multiply them together. 7 times 2 is 14, and plus 4. Now all I have to do is add as I go across from left to right. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. Oops, I miswrote that. Now negative 4 plus 14 is 10. And our final answer, 14. Got our last two on this one. This is a short section, isn't it? Okay, rewrite it. And everywhere that they have an x, they want us to put in a 1. Well, that's just the square root of 1, which is 1 plus 3. And 1 plus 3 would give us 4. Let's see if this one's any more interesting. We've got the square root of x plus 3. And again, plugging in an x of 1. Do you see the difference on the two equations? Here, the plus 3 is on the outside, so it's not underneath the square root. Here, that entire thing is underneath the square root. All right, 1 plus 3 needs to be taken care of first because it's underneath our grouping symbol. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. All right, I'll see you in the next video.